just to touch on his comments, he was talking about the open meeting law and when you come up and speak to us, how we can't say anything. That is really one of my pet peeves is the open meeting law, and I actually delayed the legislation the first time around from the Attorney General's office when I was down in the legislature because it is so. Remember, there's 3 branches of government, and me as a member of the legislative branch, I have more chunks of the Constitution than everybody else, and this is the open meeting law and having the judicial branch supervise what we can say under the legislative branch, when and what we can say and how we can do it, is impeded by most of the clean election or most of the open meeting laws that I see today. And so, if you come to me with a problem, I can't tell anybody about it, other elected officials that represent you, because it would violate the open meeting law. So I have to give it to staff, and I have a process so I don't get sued. And it is really an imposition. So if you come to me in a public meeting and express your First Amendment right to petition and regress your government, I should be able to interact with you. And I cannot. And that's a violation of my elected duties, my First Amendment right, and that's an imposition by the judicial branch on the legislative branch that is in my view, is unconstitutional. And we really, if Justin was still down there, I'd be working on this, because this happens. So the new thing is with elected officials is they give us an iPad, and all the documents go to the iPad, and if I want to share this information, they keep track of me and my iPad and who I share it with. And so I don't even know what's going on in my own meetings, because my iPad's been broken for 2 weeks, and they won't even give me email. I mean, it is a huge violation of my duties and my First Amendment right to access government information, and we need to work on that. So I don't want to get off on that soapbox. So real quickly, Central Arizona Project, your water supplier, Big Ditch, we copied it from the tribes 1,000 years ago because they had big ditches running through here, and that's how the tribe settled it, and we just copied what they did. In fact, some of the SRP canals are rebuilt on the existing Hohokam. Next subject, next slide. And so here's our big ditch running through the state. It's that's where your $4 billion is right now, and we serve all the major cities of Phoenix, Tucson, all the way down to Green Valley, and that was the way to get Berry Goldwater and Udall and those guys all spent their entire careers making sure that we could get water into the central part of the state for our renewable water supplies. And we store it all in Lake Pleasant. We pump the water up all winter long. We're getting ready to dump all the water in the lake now that we store for this next summer, because the rates are cheap in the summertime. And like I said earlier, we're the biggest power buyer in the state, so we have pumps and storage and all those kinds of things that go along with this. And so you want to go on to the next one? And so that we have some of the most restrictive groundwater laws in the state under the Groundwater Management Act of 1980, and basically no development can occur in the major metropolitan areas, which are Phoenix, Tucson, Casa Grande, those kinds of areas. Does not include Flagstaff and Verde Valley. So no development can happen unless you have a 100-year water supply. It includes golf courses, bottling plants, whatever is going on. If the city can submit a plan to us and DWR saying that we have a plan for a sustainable 100-year water supply, you can build it. And if you can't build it, you can come and get a 100-year water supply from us. Because of that, we've been able to grow this state from 1 million people to 6 million people using the same amount of water. That makes us super efficient, super conservative, and that's why you see the new developments with the desert landscaping and all those other things going on out there, and the Target golf courses and those kinds of things. Municipal water providers, the city of Mesa is a customer of ours. They show up with a herd of lobbyists always trying to take our money. They have requirements as part of their CAP contract to do the conservation efforts on leaky water systems and desert landscapings and low flow plumbing and all these other conservation measures that are part of state law or part of our water contract with the city. And just kind of so you get perspective. So my politics deal, the picture you can't see there covers Arizona, California, Nevada. And so I spend almost all my time hiding water and money from California, who's always trying to dip in our bucket. And so that requires some skill to do, but we sort of deal on a regional basis with the three cities of Nevada, California, and Arizona. Next slide. And so we've spent $350 million for a non-rainy day for the drought that you keep hearing about in the newspaper, because the lake is going down, and we're going to have a cutoff in another couple of years. And we've spent an unbelievable amount of money preparing for this drought. So we're in the middle of a 30-year drought, and we're about year 15 in it. And we built a $10 million recharge basin out here on the other side of Luke Air Force Base in Pinal County. And we've been recharging water out there along with all the other basins up and down the state. And you can just see the whole state over here. This one, and we'll tell you, kind of the bigger the circle is right up in here, will tell you where we've been storing water underground. And we have a variety of ways to do it. And so we're really like squirrels hiding nuts for the winter, but we sort of do it on a decadal process. And so we think about, I have to provide your City of Mesa folks with a 100-year water supply, no questions asked. And so we have to do all these kinds of belt and suspenders and bobby pins kind of things to make sure that we have enough water supply for the future. And so we put $350 million of water underground. Private sector has done probably double that. We have around 9 million acre feet of water. So the entire the entire amount of Lake Mead is sitting underground in aquifers around the state. So we can start pumping it in when we go into a drought situation. That'll happen in the next 24 months or so. And this kind of vaguely gives you an idea of, sorry, there's just a lot of information. So this is our water supply. This is the water supply, and this is demand. And you can see that we've reached more demand than supply. And since 80% of our water goes to the farms, and half of that goes to tribal farms, and half of it goes to regular farms. So that's where most of the water use is, and it's not a sustainable process, and we're going to have some cutbacks, and those guys are going to be the first ones. So we set it up so that the farms and the folks that can afford to do a cutback, which are the alfalfa growers, they can cut back during and fallow during a drought cycle that we get into, and that's part of the system that we have designed. And so we're going to start pumping in Pinal County. We're going to start reversing some of the pumps, cut off some of the farmers, and they'll be supplying water back into the system and send it out to Tucson as part of our switching water supplies from the completely off of the river to back and dipping into our reserves underground. Okay, so next subject. And so we talked a little bit about power. So this is a $3 billion Navajo generating station that I was just on the phone with the Navajo president and the Trump campaign on. And so we own roughly 25% or so of that. It's 92% of our power supply. We have a little hydro. And that's what keeps the lights on and runs our pumps. And so every night at 1 a.m. we start pumping water, and we pump it from 1 a.m. to 5 a.m. So it would be a little difficult to fill the entire valley with solar panels and our pumps like the environmentalists want us to do. But that's the fun part of this stuff. We are in the process of doing an upgrade. You want to go ahead to the next slide? I think that's the upgrade thing. And so we're doing some upgrades to comply with the Clean Power Plan right now, which is the Obama, I'm going to shut down all your coal plants and send them into bankruptcy program. And the rate increase that I told you guys earlier about from $300 to $900 a month, or sort of, this is how the impact is on the entire United States. And the Hillary Clinton proposal basically says she wants the entire United States to run on windmills and solar. And that really will bankrupt the country. I mean, it's just so breathtakingly irresponsible, I can't even tell you. I mean, she wants to by 5x the solar panels and the windmills. It's just not, I mean, it's clear to me that nobody knows what they're doing, and they're just trying trying to subsidize their solar. I don't know if you know Elon Musk and the Tesla and the Solar City guys and the rooftop guys. Okay, your power bill from SRP, you give him roughly half of the $4.62 a month to subsidize solar for Elon Musk. And so he's putting all his money into the solar agenda and these kinds of things. And I know that's controversial, but I'm just telling you, he took in $80 million from SRP, and he's taken in $160 million from APS customers that goes into his system. And that's why he's dumping money into the Corporation Commission election, and those guys, when they want their money back. Okay, so that kind of covers the impact of the United States. Shall we go to the next one? So we're having, so this is each one of these is $1 billion unit of Napa generating station on replacement cost. And we have to shut down this one right here, and then we have to put $600 to $800 million worth of upgrades onto the power plant just to cover the. Basically, we have to do catalytic converters for the gigantic power plant as part of phase 1 of the clean power plant. And phase 2 is going to be, oh, by the way, after you spend all that money, you just got to shut it down anyhow. And it's just monumentally challenging for me to deal with this stuff. There's a huge timeline that we have to deal with, and it's not just us. We have 4 coal-fired power plants in the Four Corners region, and they're equal to about 8% of the total power in the United States, just to kind of give you an idea of magnitude. And so that's going to increase your water and your power rates, since I spend so much money pumping water. Okay, you want to go to the next one? I don't really need to cover that. I think you guys kind of get it.
Next one.
Yeah. And so let me just close on where we are with the feds and kind of the idea of the differences between Trump and Clinton and where we're going. I kind of highlighted some of this stuff. But not only the water issues where they're demanding us to comply with Clean Water Act things, they're going to significantly raise your prices. The power stuff is really quite breathtaking on how irresponsible that particular sector is. And it really kind of, the fish and the shark picture is kind of illustrates where we are. So Trump is kind of like a guppy with the shark face, and Clinton is kind of like a shark with a guppy face, to kind of give you the idea of the challenges that we face. And you know, if you're looking for a reason to support Trump, and I know there's over 1 million ballots still sitting on people's kitchen tables in Maricopa County. If you're looking for a reason to get out and walk the neighborhoods like I do every night when I'm not speaking, you know, that's the reason you want to go do that, because you know, $8 billion is a number that you're all going to be saddled with, you know, in a very short 24 months from now, that we'll have to start spending money to comply, and you'll probably never get that money back, and a lot of it will be wasted. So I hate to leave you with the Debbie the Downer kind of view on things, but we do have 100-year water supply for all the golf courses in the cities and 80% of the population that we deal with, and you have some incredibly talented board members, even though I don't agree with some of the liberals and the big city guys on there. The Republic actually asked all of us to stop running for the CAP board and go run for the legislature, because they were impressed with the talented crew, and even the Democrats are very talented, and we got some really smart people on this board. I'm pretty proud of what they've done so far. But I need, when I'll send you guys an email saying these guys are going to screw something up, I need you guys to email me back and hear your voice. And I'll give you, for example, this close with. We owe the United States $1.1 billion, and so staff came up with this brilliant idea here last week, saying, well, gosh, we can refinance the debt and save some money. And I said, okay, so tell me the deal. And they told me the deal. They came up with a proposal. And so what they want to do is they want to pay off the United States $1.1 billion, and they want to give it to, you know, the Wall Street banker bond guys, and they actually don't save any money. It adds $250 million, $250 million to your grandchildren's debt on the backside. So your debt actually goes up from $1.1 billion to $1.4 billion, which is that alone is monumentally stupid, but that doesn't stop them. And so they say, well, they'll lower the operating income so the cities can make more money on their water departments. Well, that also doesn't fly with me. And on top of this, so I said, okay, just hypothetically, if I agree with this, why would I do this? They said, oh, it'll save us some money on the front end, we'll do it on the back end. That doesn't work for me. I said, so what else is good? Oh, well, we'll pay off the United States and we'll save interest a little bit. But you don't actually save it, you save it on the back end. And then the third thing, I said, if we do this, I want the United States to give us a deed to the ditch, because we paid it off. Just like I paid off my mortgage in my house, I want the deeds. Oh, no, we don't get that. And I just can't even believe that they are doing this. But they are, this train is down the track, and I'm going to send you guys an email here after the election and ask for some support on this, because this is all moving down the pike, and we're going to have to get Congressman Andy Biggs and a bunch of feds involved in this thing, and we're going to have to stop this train. And on top of it, if you and I are going to owe money in the United States, I can't think of a better rich uncle to owe money to than them. Because if the deal on the ditch that they sold us doesn't work out or it breaks, I'm going to want a discount on my note because they sold us a crappy product, right? Which this actually happened. But if we refinance the debt and I owe a bunch of bankers, I'm not going to be able to negotiate with a bunch of bankers on reduction of debt for a crappy product. They're going to want their money plus interest plus their lawyer's fees. And so if I'm going to owe money, I'd rather owe money to my rich uncle in the U.S. Treasury than some of those banker guys in Wall Street. And so we'll come back, we'll deal with this stuff after the election. And now, so questions?
Who's pushing the restructuring of the debt?
That would be, so AMWA is an Arizona Municipal Users Association, which is a stealth government operation that the city of Mesa and a bunch of the 10 big cities belong to. And they spend $1.5 million to come down and steal my money and make these crazy proposals so that they make money on their water companies. And so AMWA, the big cities, are pushing this agenda.
Just so that they can save money now.
Well, they don't care. They'll retire and get their pension and leave the debt bomb with your children and your family. I mean, this is a common thing with the big utilities. The big cities want to control everything, including all the water and all the money. And Justin will tell you how powerful the Arizona League of Cities and Towns are when they come down to stomp and demand things from the legislature. And they've got a haircut, and they've had to come to Jesus moment recently, but they're getting their oats back again, and they'll be down there lobbying. So, I mean, literally, there's $80,000 a year. Take this room, and that's how many people show up to our board meetings, and every one of them is paid $80,000 a year to sit there and lobby me and take money from me, and that's what I deal with every day.